According to many sources, over half of the world's population may access the Internet on a daily basis. This has obviously happened very rapidly. Just a few decades ago, the Internet was relegated to niche groups of tech enthusiasts and researchers. Today it is responsible for banking, commerce, military use, social media and everything in between. The Internet, quite literally, runs the world. Like many world-changing technologies of today, the Internet began as a military experiment from the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. Beginning in 1969, DARPA was looking for a way to virtually connect computers at different military research institutions across a wide geographic area. Work began at Stanford University, led by Vinton Cerf and Bob Kahn at DARPA. In 1969, the first two computers were connected between Stanford and UCLA. Soon after, software was developed that enabled email, file transfers and remote login. The underlying technology would soon develop and many new users would connect. By September 1971 there were 18 connections. By July 1975 there were 57 and by 1981 there were 213 with a new connection every 20 days. Because DARPA was only intended to fund research, the operational network they had created was given to the Defense Communications Agency in 1975. Between 1975 and the decommissioning in 1990 there were further developments in ARPANET. Among these were encrypted communication, a satellite network that enabled transatlantic connection between computers, and the computer science network that extended networking benefits to more institutions. The Internet would soon expand outside of DARPA's control, and by 1986 the National Science Foundation created the National Science Foundation Network. This network provided access to researchers and academic institutions across the world on a larger scope than anything DARPA had previously created. By 1989 the first Internet service providers were created in America, and by 1990, ARPANET was made obsolete by a rapidly expanding Internet composed of independent researchers, academic institutions and a rapidly increasing amount of regular people. Like many technologies before and after, DARPA would burst onto the scene out of nowhere, create an earth-shattering technology, lose control of it to the general public, and let the cards fall where they may. After DARPA left the scene, the Internet would rapidly grow. By 1991 there were over 500,000 users of the Internet. 10 years earlier there were 213. The early 90s would be marked by the creation of email, the first web browser and editor, online banking and early e-commerce. This early Internet was marked by a sort of Wild West decentralization, with virtually no regulation and rapid change and development. In the early 2000s the global war on terror would prompt DARPA to find a way to gather all-encompassing information about an individual. Their phone calls, associates, locations, media consumption, transactions, emails, travel history etc. This project would be called Lifelog. The military and DARPA would intend for this information to be used to track terror suspects. Ultimately, DARPA would officially abandon the project, mainly due to privacy concerns and the obvious difficulty in getting people to voluntarily surrender all of their personal information. DARPA officially thought the problem too hard to solve. Unofficially they had found the perfect Trojan horse. On February 4, 2004, DARPA would officially end Lifelog. That same day at Harvard University Facebook would be launched by Mark Zuckerberg and a handful of fellow Harvard students. Facebook would do what Lifelog couldn't do. Within a few short years hundreds of millions of people would give up their personal information and right to privacy in the name of connecting with friends and writing innocent posts. By 2010 Facebook would count 500 million users and it now boasts almost 3 billion. Facebook would be popular from the start. It quickly captured the attention of Harvard students and quickly spread to the rest of the Ivy League schools and tech companies Apple and Microsoft. Facebook would soon attract outside investment from Silicon Valley royalty Peter Thiel. By 2006 Facebook was expanded to everyone older than 13. By 2008 tens of thousands of websites and apps had been integrated into Facebook in order to share information. The rest of the early 2000s and 2010s would be marked by breakneck user growth on a global level. Within a few short years Americans and the entire planet went from being suspicious of wide-scale information gathering to sharing every intimate detail about their lives. From their location to their interests, their purchases, their history, their associates and place of work to everything in between. Of course, Facebook was not the only social media company. Other tech conglomerates soon sprouted. Notably Twitter, Snapchat and Instagram, which Facebook purchased for $1 billion in 2012. The early 2000s were marked by tech companies being born out of nowhere, quickly gaining billions of users and gathering unfathomable amounts of user data. But what do they do with all this data? The obvious answer is that they sell it to other companies and use it to advertise products to you. The less obvious answer is that intelligence agencies acquire, use, and even steal your information to meet the original goals of Lifelog. They want to know everything about you. Your interests, associates, occupation, travel history and everything in between. Whether you intend to or not, you give them this information. From Facebook's earliest days, intelligence agencies saw the potential of what they could do with user data and the reach that social media companies provide. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow, which brings better content. See you next time.